Good morning, my dear students.
In English grammar, we were discussing about chapter 8 models. In this chapter, we discussed about modal verbs, its different uses, and also about the question tag. The verbs be and have are used with other verbs to make tenses, passive forms, questions, and negatives. We call the be and have verb forms as auxiliary verbs or helping verbs. In this chapter, we discussed about the different forms of the verb be and verb have. The different forms of verb be are am, is, was, are, and were. The different form of the verb have, has, and had. We use all these helping verbs in order to make tenses, passive forms, questions, and negative forms. For example, Rahul is playing chess. Sonam and Reha had played cricket yesterday. In these sentences, the helping verbs is and had are used with the verbs playing and played to indicate the tense of the sentences. Like this, the auxiliary verbs or the helping verbs are used to make tenses, passive forms, questions, and negative forms. A modal verb is a type of helping verb. They are also referred to as modals. Now we will see which all are the modal verbs. They are can, could, may, might, ought to, will, would, shall, should, must, and need to. What is the definition for modal verbs? Modal verbs are verbs that are used with main verbs and express different moods, meanings, and attitudes like permission, possibility, certainty, and necessity. Modal verbs are not complete verbs. They are always followed by a main verb. For example, you may play. You may go to play. As you can see, the first sentence does not make any sense. That sentence was, you may play. The modal verb does not have a main verb to complete the meaning. The second sentence, you may go to play, has a modal verb along with the main verb. It makes complete sense. So, it is clear that modal verbs are not complete verbs and they are always followed by a main verb in order to make a complete sense. Modal verbs are always used in the base form and do not change its form with changes in person or a number of the subjects. In order to clear this statement, look into these two examples. She can play the piano. They can play the piano. In both these sentences, the modal verb can remain the same. The subjects are different in both the sentences. In the first sentence, she can play the piano. The subject is third person singular. In the second sentence, they can play the piano. The subject is third person plural. But in both the sentences, we used the modal verb in its base form. So, dear students, modal verbs are always used in the base form and it do not change its forms with changes in person or number of subjects. Now we are going to see the uses of these modal verbs. Specific modal verbs are used to express certain purposes. We are going to see that. The first one, may, can, and could are used to ask permission. These three modal verbs, may, can, and could, are used to ask permission. For example, may I come in? This is the formal way of asking permission. Can I take this basket? This is an informal way of asking permission. Could I go out and play? It is a very polite way of asking permission. So here we saw that specifically may is used to ask permissions formally. Can is used to ask informal permissions that can we can use with our friends, our youngers, etc. Could you please let me open? That is a very polite way of asking a permission. So with the situation and also with the people, we can use these three different modal verbs to ask permission. We use can and may but not could to give or deny permission. For example, yes, you can use my pencil. No, you may not have that cake. In this both situation, we are giving or denying permission. We will not use the modal verb could here in order to give or deny permission. But in order to ask for a permission, we will use could. And the sentences which we use with could in order to ask a permission, that is considered as a very polite way of asking permission. So with your teachers, with your elders, and also the people those who are in a respectful position, we can use this very polite way of asking permission with the modal verb could. When we come to the next purpose of using specific modal verbs, the modal verbs may, might, can, and could are used to express possibility. For example, I may go to the party this evening. Here, the possibility is in affirmative sentences. I might stay at home this evening, which talks about a less possibility. So here, might we will use for a less possibility. Don't go near the stove. You could get hurt. Remote possibility. Reha can be quick when she wants to. Snakes can be 5 feet long. Here, in all these examples, it is expressing the possibilities. Some sentences are with a less possibility, some sentences are with a remote possibility. So for a remote possibility, we will use could. For a less possibility, we will use might. The modal verb may is used to express a wish. May you do well in life. May your dreams come true. Like this, we are using the modal verb may to express a wish. The modal verbs can and could are used to express ability. Radha can drive a car. He could walk 5 miles at a stretch when he was young. So here we can use the modal verbs can and could in order to express ability. The modal verbs can, could, will, and would are used to express request. For example, can I sit down now? It is an informal way of requesting. Could you take notes for me? This is a polite way of or unsure way of asking request. Will you drop me at home? This is an informal way of expressing our request. Would you bring me the book, please? This is a polite way of requesting. Like this, we can use the modal verbs can, could, will, and would to express request.